Welcome everybody to the Twin Cities HubSpot user group. Today we're going to be talking about loop marketing and how you can adjust your marketing plans in the age of AI. Her name is Jen Meyer. My name is Trygve Olson. We are your Hug hosts today. We work at BusyWeb. Jen is the COO of BusyWeb and a key member of the BusyWeb team who runs the HubSpot team of several people who do nothing but work in and on HubSpot all day long. I am also here, and Jen and I are both HubSpot certified trainers, but I have a day job here at BusyWeb, but I moonlight as a teacher at HubSpot Academy. If you're not familiar with BusyWeb, we are a growth marketing agency based in Minneapolis, focusing on B2B services and manufacturing companies. And we specialize in inbound marketing, CRM and sales enablement, and digital marketing. So you can find us at busyweb.com, or you can call us at the number on the screen. But more importantly, we're super excited to be the hosts for the HubSpot user groups. And if you're not familiar with what a hug is, we use the term HubSpot user group and hug interchangeably. The goal of this is for all HubSpot users to be able to join and to educate and inspire you on how to not only use HubSpot better, but more successful, and by providing support and a community of people who are all in the same boat that you are in. And there are over 100 different hugs. I think we are doing 3 hugs simultaneously. This is the Twin Cities hug, the Fractional Leadership Hug, which is why Jessica Kelly is here, and the Midwest Manufacturing Hug. So we're very excited for all of you to be here to talk about loop marketing, because, I mean, I know a lot about it, but fortunately, Jen is here to help explain it, because everything was fine, and then inbound happened a couple of weeks ago, and we were all introduced to this new concept of loop marketing. So why are we here, Jen, and what is this?
Well, like the screen says, everything is shifting. So one thing that everybody in marketing has probably noticed is that, traffic is down for everybody on your website. Your clicks are down, your organic search is down. People aren't following the traditional paths that they used to follow. Everything is AI is taken over. It's going to be the new normal. And so as we embrace AI, some of the statistics that we need to keep in mind is that 60% of Google searches people aren't clicking through to websites anymore. What people are doing, their user behaviors change. We got to change too. So we'll get into a little more of that as we go.
And there's no second page of Google anymore, right? So that was always the knock on SEO functions, is you want to be on the first page of Google. Well, everybody's on the first page of Google now, right?
That continuous scroll will get all of us, right? So there's 3 critical buyer shifts that we have to be aware of. So buyers are doing more of their research on their own and making evaluations about your brand before they even know who you are, right? They're looking through, if they do a Google search or a Bing search or any other kind of search, they're doing their research before they potentially even get to your website. As they're searching, search has changed, right? So it's now intent over keywords. Keyword stuffing your website, having location pages on your website, things like that doesn't count anymore. It actually counts against you now. So now that AI is in the mix, we can't do keyword matching as much anymore. Really, it's all based on intent signals and how, what people are intending to find. And then everybody wants to be heard. They want to be seen. They want everything to be personalized to them. So that means that us as marketers, we have to real-time shift and really look at how we're addressing people and how we're really getting to them and getting their attention and getting in their inboxes so that they actually pay attention to us. So it's noisy everywhere. Everybody's using the same tools. So and we're all following similar playbooks. So what that means is that a lot of people are using the same messages. So even if your content is really good, this statistic is key. Your audience is bombarded with more than 5,000 marketing messages every day.
Put in the chat pane if you've gotten a message that starts with, "I hope this message finds you well." I never in my life have said, "Good morning, Jennifer. I hope this day finds you well." Have you ever done that?
So even if you have a first name or you know, like everybody gets, like, I don't know how many emails I get every day that says, "I really want to help BusyWeb marketing agency in Minneapolis." You know, I that's what it says on LinkedIn, right? And so everybody gets all those messages. Really, it's not just about personalization. It's not about producing more. We have to produce better. We have to be more in tune with what our buyers want, need, what their psychographics are, their demographics are, and really who that persona is and what motivates them.
First question is from a Dave M. from Cross Lake, Minnesota. He asks if he can join your LinkedIn network.
I specifically have him blocked. So,
understood.
All right.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
For those who don't know, he's my husband. So, and my partner in crime here at BusyWeb. So, you know, user behavior is changing, and it's changing really fast. You know, the world is, you know, really embracing AI and how that has impacted search. So, you know, we're finding brands through social, through algorithm-driven feeds, forums, AI, you know, so we got to evolve. We got to go to where they actually are, not to where we think they might be. So we got to find that out first. That's the first thing we have to do. So that's where Loop comes in. So what is Loop marketing? This is sounds like corporate speak, but it's an ever evolving, constantly improving cycle. So what it represents is really the way we kind of talk about it. It's kind of inbound on steroids, right? So it's not just, we're going to throw up some gated content and we're just going to watch how people kind of go through it. We're going to have just one set of drip campaigns with a couple branches in it. It's not that anymore. We need to adapt to the AI and how that can help us in our marketing, and try to do it kind of real time. That sounds super overwhelming, and I get that, but you know, there's 4 stages to this. And when we talk about loop marketing, I also want you guys to understand, we don't have to completely upend what we're doing. If you're doing inbound marketing or digital marketing right now, really, you don't have to start at the very beginning with this. We can start midstream and tweak what we have and kind of just get it into the, you know, infinite loop, if you will.
So this is, instead of saying that we have to completely get rid of everything and start over, a better way to think about this is adding an addition onto the house.
Yeah, absolutely. In addition that, you know, you're going to want to putter with for a while.
So that's the best kind.
Absolutely.
So what are the 4 stages?
The 4 stages are express, tailor, amplify, and evolve. So expressing, it's really defining your taste, your tone, your point of view, your uniqueness in your brand, you know, your ICP, all of those kinds of things. Tailor is more about creating that personalized experience for those ICPs and those different segments that you sell to, because nobody just sells to one segment. We all have at least 3 ICPs that we're trying to go and grab, right? And then we got to amplify. They're not going to come to you. You got to tell them where you are, and you have to go to them. So, and tell them why it matters. And then evolve. Let's experiment. Let's iterate quickly. Let's look at what's working, what's not. We'll be able to see how all of those stats are really analyzed so that we can really go and make those tweaks that are going to make a difference. We're going to dig in a little deeper on each one of these stages. So in the express stage, defining taste, tone, and point of view, what makes your brand unique. So what makes you you? This isn't just content creation. Like we said, we all have access to the same AI tools. We all choose kind of different ones. And one thing that might be interesting to ask is what are people using right now? Can answer that in the chat if you'd like. But when we all use the same prompts and platforms, we all sound the same. And so what we want to do is inject that human element into what we get from the AI. So we don't just want to generate with AI. We want to take it, we want to tweak it, we want to edit it. But what AI gives us is it stops us from staring at the cursor on the white page. It gets us started. It'll get you 60% of the way there. It's up to you to tweak the rest.
Jen, what are some ways that people who aren't necessarily as sophisticated in marketing can really put together a package of, what you say there, of what makes them them? How can they start answering some of those questions? What are some things that they need to do in order to do that?
Some of the things that we need to do is, as we look at our brand, we want to make sure that we get the right tone. At BusyWeb, we use a little bit of a funny tone, a little more casual tone than, some other marketing agencies in the area. Other things that we need to, what are your, what are your ideal customer profile? Who are we going after? Also from our brand perspective, what's our mission, our values? Are there any other things that your company stands for? Like, for BusyWeb, our 3 values are integrity, fun, and education, right? So hence why we're trying to educate people about loop marketing. But we're also trying to have fun while we do it. So, we want to make sure that we inject those values and things into, all of our content and how we're trying to go after people.
Because one of the things that happened in the chat pane as you were asking people what they were using, a lot of them were saying Chat GPT. But I think what you're talking about right now is sort of a fundamental understanding of who you are and what your company is before we start injecting tools.
Yes, and it's interesting to see what people are using. Because like you can see, a lot of people are using Chat GPT. So if we're all saying the same, using the same tools, hopefully it's not spitting out the same messages for everybody.
That's for sure.
Right. So then in the Express, we got to put that human touch in there. So do the deep customer intelligence. AI can help. You can say, I want a persona for, I don't know, let's just use Marketing Mary, right? And she is, this age, this is kind of the role she plays. I want to know what her psychographics and demographics are about, finding the marketing and everything like that. What are her pain points? What are her decision-making patterns? Really understand how she thinks and how to get to her. What are her main problems that she's trying to solve? That helps to allow you to, really get to those, get that content where it needs to be. Brand style architecture, making sure that you have comprehensive style guides. That will help not only you, but the AI tools can also scrub that for what you're trying to do and make sure that your brand is represented the way you want it to be. And that is the intelligent content production, right? So really then we can, once we have those kind of things in there, we can deploy that and then have all of that in the background in the LLM so that we can have that scraped, and that will help you to teach it and put forth better content. Then we're going to tailor. So we don't want that email we always get. We can't just use a personalization token or two to really get their attention. So it can't just be mail merge fields. We need to understand all of those demographics and psychographics about our people and the people we're trying to reach so that we can really get those relevant experiences out.
I think one of the reasons why you can't really just do that, the personalization tokens, is a lot of people have changed their tokens to avoid that and to self-identify more scraped things. Like, for instance, our LinkedIn profile at BusyWeb says BusyWeb, and then HubSpot provider in Minneapolis. And so when we get an email from somebody who scrapes that, it says, "Hey, I noticed you're doing a lot of good work at Busy Web HubSpot Minneapolis," which nobody would actually write in an email. So especially, Jen, as you're talking about that human factor of making sure that you're making, and also what you're going to get to later about data cleanliness really becomes important. So that when you're making the point about not just doing the one thing, there's good reasons for that to get better at this.
Yeah. And as we look at tailoring that content, I'm getting that data enrichment intelligence. AI can scrape your CRM data and give you some intelligence about it, but also it can now look for behavioral patterns, right? So how many pages did they visit before they visited mine? Are they really on the hunt for something, or are they just kind of poking around and starting to ask questions, kind of understanding where they're at in that buyer's journey? And then, with products like HubSpot, we can, get that real-time intent signal. We can also look cross-platform. How often are they looking at my LinkedIn versus my website versus, opening my emails, and really try to see how they're interacting with us. So when they give us their data, that lets us deliver better buying experiences. Really, it really helps at the end of the day.
Michelle Stinson Ross says it's not just personalization, it's knowing what topics people are actually interested in.
Yeah, and what their search terms are. Absolutely. Definitely. So creating those dynamic experiences, that understanding all of that about our buyers allows us to recommend and get those contextual content. I can't say that phrase. It will give us recommendations on content to provide. We can map that journey that they're taking to get to us. We can also adapt our messaging and our timing now, especially with the tools in HubSpot. So that also shows us what channels they're going to, where they're searching. A lot of our buyers search on LinkedIn, and that's been a great source for us, right? So it's really striking that perfect balance between helpful and being authentic. And, we don't want to be creepy. We just want to make sure that it's an honest message that we're portraying.
I think one of the things that we can offer as an insight is that not to sleep on Reddit. Reddit is making a comeback in terms of usefulness and utility these days.
It really is. And we want to amplify. So we got to go to where they're coming from. So after we do all that intelligence and getting those tailored messages, let's go where they are. So, they're researching, making decisions in new environments. It's not just Google searches anymore. It's not visiting a ton of websites. It's not looking for ebooks anymore. It's going to the communities that they're participating in. A lot of where we spend our time is the HubSpot community, looking at people who are asking questions that we hopefully can help them with. So, going to those where our clients are. So, Google's AI overview, people are getting instant answers without clicking through to websites. That's why your clicks are down. That's why your traffic's down. So you need to be the source that they recommend. ChatGPT, AI assistants, it's becoming a primary research tool. So again, we need them to recommend us. With all of these channels, we need them to recommend us. So Reddit and communities, those are places where people are asking questions. Those are great places to prove yourself as a subject matter expert and really get in on the conversation. And then, if you're B2B and you have a great professional network, start being a thought leader. Start showing how you're the subject matter expert in your field. So as amplifying, we want to, it's changing from ranking to recommendation. So the old goal was everybody wanted to be number one on Google. Who didn't? We all wanted to be on the top, right? So it used to focus on, beating your competitors in keywords And now that AI is kind of taking over the search engines, you need to be recommended. So for Google and Gemini, ChatGPT, other AI systems, when people are asking it questions, how do you get it to recommend you? It's really a different strategy. So getting those strategic relationships is key. Using those tools to identify where your audience spends their time, what influences their decisions. You can ask for that in prompts as you're doing your persona research. And then from there, spend the time cultivating those relationships, build those connections. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time at it either. Trigby, how much time do you spend on LinkedIn doing your business development?
45 minutes a day, every day. That's
not a ton of time.
Nope.
I mean, you want to block it out so you don't get busy, but I know if some of our content team is on here, how much time do they spend on Reddit or in the communities? I'll bet it's probably about the same amount of time.
I know the content team that is spending a lot of time on Reddit.
Yep.
These days, because one of the and that's why I mentioned it is a lot of LLMs are learning based on the Reddit database. So if you understand that and know that, then as you said, Jen, going there to where it is going to help amplify what you're trying to do in your own marketing plan.
Absolutely. And then, this is going to be a cost-effective scale. It's going to lower acquisition costs, but everything's going to be a little bit more personal, right?
Liz says SEO and pay-per-click teams also should be mindful of Reddit, that it's a great community discussions place. And Michelle says partners and influencers, they are key to the signals of trustworthiness that ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity are considering when providing answers.
And when we talk about influencers, that's an interesting point, because an influencer you don't need to go and hire the Kardashians to pitch your product anymore. An influencer could be the president of your company. It could be your top salesman. It's really the person with the big network that can put themselves forth as that subject matter expert in your field. And that's something you can capitalize on. It doesn't cost anything. A little bit of their time or a little bit of your content team's time, speaking for them. But I mean, they could be influencers too.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And then we got to evolve. So iterating quickly. I know this sounds intimidating to a lot of marketers, but really this is watching the analytics. It's scaling, it's tweaking. I mean, the change in a click of a button could just be the text on it. It doesn't have to be something like a massive undertaking where we have to, continually, like redesign everything. It doesn't need to be all of that. So we're going to go from campaign cycles to continual intelligence. So where it used to take a month or two to, create a campaign, we got to build the asset, we got to build the landing pages, we got to build all the things. Really, we operate in real time. So as we're figuring out, we get this campaign launched, what we have to do is we have to say, okay, who's clicking? Are the people who are clicking the audience that we planned this for? If not, let's add a branch and personalize content for that persona that we're finding value in this campaign. So it's really just continually measuring, using that to predict the future, and then just adapting it and making small tweaks along the way so that hopefully it performs better and better and better for you.
Jen, I think it's important to talk about what exactly do you mean when you say a campaign, because I think that's one of those malleable terms in marketing that means something different to everybody.
That's very true. A lot of marketers are taught that, sending out an email is a campaign or a slew of social posts or something like that. I'm looking at campaigns as a bigger entity that has multiple kinds of assets and channels. So let's just take, for example, an inbound campaign, right? So really, we want to give somebody something of value to them, answering questions, helping them to solve problems. Right. So I'm going to, ask them for their information. I'm going to try to get them there, but then also I'm going to try to tailor their messages and try to keep getting in front of them with drip campaigns that are highly personalized with loop marketing for really the issues that they're facing, and then trying to get them to pick up the phone and call us, really to try to meet with you, actually, is what I want them to do.
Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about expanding on this, when you send if you're doing like an email as a campaign, and there's not a whole lot to tweak there. I mean, there's traditional A/B testing, but what you're talking about is much more sophisticated campaigns where you're doing ads, you're doing socials, you're doing landing pages,
you're doing ads drive the traffic there. Yep. We're doing social media also to get the word out. You have to get the word out on all the different channels so that people can, know that they should come. Because if you build it, they're not going to come.
Yeah.
You have to tell them that it's there. So, getting on that megaphone and shouting it from the rooftops in every channel you can. And also using different mediums, right? So maybe we try podcasts for it. Maybe we try video for it, which we can post to a few different channels, things like that is really going to make the difference as well.
Jessica asks, what tips can you share how BusyWeb has shifted your inbound strategies and tactics? I think we're going to get to that in future slides, but I wanted to make sure that we address the question.
Absolutely. So what we want to do is, as we evolve, we're going to do some predictive trend analysis. So we're going to take the trends that we're seeing. Let's use AI to identify any new emerging trends. Let's ask it what we're missing. We do this all the time. We can create a strategy for us or for a client, and then we can run it through one of the AI engines and just say, what are we missing? Is there anything we didn't think about? Because the lather, rinse, repeat doesn't always work anymore. So we want to make sure that we look at competitors and everything along the way as well. We also want to do
that's a great call out, because not everybody understands that you can use chat or AI to build things, but also to check things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We also want to do rapid experimentation. So let's ABCDE test things, right? Could be simple things like the color of a button. It could be simple things like what your call to action is in general. Is a pop-up or just a link going to work better for you? And in different scenarios, different calls to action are going to work better. But also, while we're doing this, we don't have to spend a lot of money to do it. Like I said, it's those minor tweaks. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the data. We're going to continually refine this strategy until it really starts humming. And then, use that to create the systems that get smarter. So all of this information is going to teach the AI engines that, how your marketing is working. And then the next time that we go do a campaign, it's going to give us some even better information. It's going to make it a little easier on us, but we're still going to want to tweak and iterate and evolve it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the large question that a lot of people are probably thinking about right now is, how do I know if I should be doing this?
All right. Trigby, I told you we couldn't put too many Scrooge McDucks in here.
Yes. Well, this is cards on the table. I helped Jen build this deck, and so we had Scrooge in earlier because he was getting enriched by his data, and so we continued the themes. Tim from Seattle says he loves the Scrooge McDucks, but this is a really good example of what the point you were making earlier, Jen, which is why I left it, about the human element, because I asked for AI to make a picture of somebody thinking about whether or not this is right for them, and so this is what it came back with, which was Scrooge in a computer with a thought balloon that is outside the computer, trying to figure out if this is right for him. So when the thing about marketing and the thing about being marketers that everybody needs, I think, fully understands, is little things matter, because at this point in the process, people are looking for reasons not to buy from you. So
I actually have an example of that if you want to
yeah,
hear. I heard this from our team yesterday. They were creating a campaign for a client, and we were, using AI to help concept photos and everything, and it was for the healthcare marketplace. So they brought in a photo of people in scrubs, right?
Yep.
But the people in the scrubs, after we counted all the fingers and the arms and made sure they were in the right place, the people in the scrubs were all wearing different colored scrubs.
Okay.
And people on the same shift don't do that.
Really? Even if they're like in different departments? Because I think
it could be departmental, but like everybody in the picture had a different color scrub.
Oh, okay. So it was a Benetton ad more than a hospital.
It really, so that's the human element is somebody realizing, it's something small that a lot of us in that marketplace wouldn't notice, but if I'm trying to get to that marketplace, those are the little things that sometimes matter.
So back to the question now that we've gone on a little Scrooge McDuck trip is how do if somebody's thinking about, boy, do I really need to start doing loop marketing? Can you walk them through some steps to try and figure out if that's a good fit for their company?
Absolutely. So, I've been talking about how, it's continual tweaking, it's continuous involving and tailoring and things like that. It sounds like a lot of work. Setup is a decent lift. I'm not going to lie. It's instead of doing a, 3 or 4 email drip campaign to try to entice somebody, it's doing one of those for each ICP that you have, right? And then you have to monitor all the analysis and everything, which software programs like HubSpot can help you with. Absolutely. But, also, there's the technology changes, and there's, AI and almost everything that we're using right now in our marketplace. So it's not for every organization. You do need some time to be able to pay some attention. But, we're talking about, let's look at it once a week. Maybe we set aside an hour or 2 on Fridays or something like that to make some tweaks or something like that. But, it's not for everybody. You got to have a little time. But this is kind of how marketing is evolving. This is how we're getting to our buyers. And so it's going to deliver transformative results. That's what we're hearing from HubSpot.
I think one of the things that you pointed out that's really interesting is to have a universally agreed change cadence. Because I think as marketers, and you and I work for a marketing firm, one of the things that happens all the time is if somebody doesn't get results within the first 2 days, they're like, we need to change it. And we always say, whoa, hold on there, cowboy. You need to let it permeate for a little. So that completely changes depending upon the industry you're in. And if you're going to go faster, that might be dropping from 3 months to 2. That might be dropping from 2 months to 6 weeks. That doesn't necessarily mean doing it from 6 weeks to every other day.
We don't want to get into analysis paralysis. I can't tell you how many times I've just sat watching the ticker, right? And watching the data come in and stuff like that. And in my copious amounts of spare time. But really just trying to figure out what that schedule is for you. And honestly, you have to have a decent amount of traffic to be able to see those analytic results. So you got to let it, I would let it sit a couple weeks at least, and then start looking at your data and seeing what it's telling you.
That's an interesting point, because if you don't have enough traffic, then you're making decisions based on big chunks. Like if you have 10 people that come to your website, you're trying to make a 20% change. That's really only 2 people. And
right.
So that really gives you the opportunity to obfuscate with statistics. So you're absolutely right. Having a sort of a critical mass, I think that's one of the things as part of the first loop is you do need to define as well as everything else. But I'm sorry, I'm taking us off tech. What are some of the indicators here?
So AI forward marketing teams. So for some marketers, AI is scary if you don't understand how it works, and it seems like the big behemoth in the room. But it's not going away. It's kind of the next technological transformation of where we're all going. So at some point we will have to embrace it. We all had to embrace the internet. We all had to embrace email, and it's just kind of that next iteration. So if we're already actively using it in our marketing operations, and we understand its potential beyond automation. It's really just getting comfortable with teaching the system so it works better and better and better for you. And that does take a little time and takes some prompt understanding and things like that. And honestly, I've been playing with AI 15, 20 minutes a day for a little while. And, I don't consider myself an expert, but, there are a lot of people on my team who understand it much better than I do, but I've seen how it can help with all of this. And then we also have to understand how search and traffic is evolving. So those traditional search strategies, they're not producing the same results now. So we need to be ready to adapt to that. And we need to be ready to get AI to notice us so that we can actually get all of those people on board. And then you can take your existing inbound campaigns and tweak them. So like I said, we don't have to start from scratch with this. You can start on the tailor stage. You can start on, the evolve stage if you want to with some of your campaigns, depending on, where they're at. I think for our company, I think it was, 6 months ago, we just redid all of our inbound campaigns that we. And so you can do this with existing inbound campaigns and use AI to make them more personal for those ideal customer profiles that you have. But I'm going to hit this hard. You gotta have clean data. You can't expect the AI in your HubSpot portal to work well if your data is not clean. So your CRM is your marketing engine. That's where everybody resides, right? We're all here because we love HubSpot. So we want to figure out how to make this work for us. Without that clean foundational data, doesn't matter what tool you use, it's not going to be able to read it well. If we're looking at not having names and name fields, if we're, I actually think we have a slide for this. What we need. All right. The essential data element. We need complete names and verified email addresses. There are a lot of programs out there that are going.
You are getting a lot of people asking you to testify about clean data.
No one more than Tim, I'm sure.
Yeah, Tim Ritchie from Seattle. He is one of the people. But a lot of people are saying clean data. Amen. Preach clean data. Yeah.
And looking at your data, like I look at my database, and we suffer from cobbler's kids syndrome, right? We have no shoes. So it's not that our data is not clean. It's that I have things in disparate places. That could be it. We want to make sure that our architecture is sound, that we don't have duplicate fields, that we have complete names, and verify our email addresses and warm that email list up. We want to make sure you can use programs like Kickbox or Unbounce or programs like that to actually go in, and it takes minutes, like 10 minutes to run 8,000 email addresses through it. And it's a penny an email at Kickbox. That's what we use when we work with our clients. Just to know, that's going to help your bounce rates. That's going to help all of that information. Current job titles and company information. Now, I'm so excited. HubSpot brought back that you can enrich your data for free. I'm so excited about it. So that helps to understand your, who are you reaching? Who are your customers? How big are they? Because if I'm just asking for anybody who's doing marketing out there in the marketplace, maybe in a specific vertical market, I'm going to get everybody from, solopreneurs all the way up to Fortune 100 companies, right? So, knowing where you fit and what target market you're going after is key. Also, make sure that you understand their preferences and permissions. How do they like to be communicated with? Do they want to get text marketing from you? We know a great product, Message IQ, does a great job with that, built for HubSpot, cheaper than HubSpot's SMS offering. But it's great. You can put it in workflows and everything. And if they prefer text versus email versus phone calls, Maybe you have a branch there on how we're going to communicate with that client. You can do that with also with your dynamic sequences now. You can have, based on certain fields, you can say how they want to be communicated. That can affect your sales engine as well. So once we have that core contact information, then we want to get into the detailed customer personas and behavioral segments. And we can look at how those overlap with the new segments tool, or what was lists in HubSpot. Also, your ICP classifications. We'll go into that in a little bit as well. There is an agent for that. Not an app, but an agent. And then also channel-specific branding and tone preferences. Maybe your tone, one of the nice things with the new, what's it called? The brand builder in HubSpot, you can have different tones for different channels. So if you have one tone for blogs and landing pages, maybe you want a different tone, maybe a little bit more casual tone for social media or email, just to be able to tailor those messages. Let's teach it what you want it to say. So if we don't have these foundational pieces, it's going to not help with our personalization efforts. Does that make sense?
Michelle has a couple of valuable points. She says that she often imagines AI in the voice of Hal from the movies saying, "I'm sorry, Dave, I can't process the data." But more on point to what you were just saying, Jen, she said, don't hold back on the detail when creating ICPs, because the more detail you have, the better to teach your AI.
Yep, absolutely. And you can give external sources as well if you want to, which is really nice when you build those.
So all this being said, I'm going to have to buy a whole bunch of new stuff, right?
Hopefully not.
Okay.
Hopefully you already have it.
What do I absolutely need to do loop marketing?
What we need in an ideal world, if everything goes the way it should in Jen's pretend life, is we need marketing and content professional or enterprise hubs. At least professional. One could be enterprise if you want. What that's going to give us is the functionality to build out those brand kits, the ICP builder, and marketing studio. Those are going to be key for helping to develop all of this. It also enables those AI assisted campaign creations and everything, and all of that reporting. You can get the buyer's journey reporting and everything with that as well. So that's why that is so essential. You also get things, especially with the content piece to it, not just Marketing Pro, but the Content Hub piece. You also get video, you get podcasts, they just announced at Inbound with the video, they have a new video editor also built into Content Hub. And that's where you get your landing pages and all of those fun things as well. So, that's why those two together are really an essential part of this. So, I get into more detail here.
Hey,
so
look at that.
So the brand kit integration gives you brand voice and visual identity so that we can ensure that everything is consistent. Your ICP builder creates ideal customer profiles that can really inform those algorithms and help you to get that psychographic demographic data about the people that you're trying to reach. Marketing Studio is kind of content remix and campaigns on steroids. So you can put in a whole creative brief into Marketing Studio now, and it gives you basically the functionality of a Miro board mixed with the power of campaigns in HubSpot, so that you can plot out your workflows. You can, just with a click of a button, say, generate me 3 social posts based on this core content. And it doesn't just have to be your content. It can reference other sources as well. And then at the end, to be able to analyze it, you get all the complete journey analytics. So that will help with the tweaking and realizing, how to really get those numbers up and make your content more effective. There's other stuff too. So
if I really want to make this sing, what do I do?
Data Hub. and the AI agents are kind of, I mean, they're fun to play with, and it's really going to help with your cleaning. So Data Hub used to be Operations Hub. That's going to give you some continuous data cleaning and formatting for your data, right? At a pro or above level, you can also do cross-platform integration. So you can bring in information from Google Drive and Sheets. You can bring it in from Excel. You can bring it in from Teams. You can bring it in from Snowflake. Wherever you're storing your data, you can bring some of that data in so that you can do cross-matching and understand really your marketplace and what how your buying cycle goes. You also can do smart deduplication. You can now do custom rules to say what makes a duplicate record in your portal. So those are some of the Data Hub features that are kind of key to all of this. The AI agents and assistants, these are kind of optional, but they're really fun. So, your assistants, you can program assistants for different teams, and they can really help you as you're searching out some of this data in your portal. So the brand assistant can, maintain your voice consistency and everything. Your ICP assistant can also help you target who in your database you should be targeting. But the agents kind of bring the next level. Now, agents do use credits, so we need to be cognizant of that. Everybody is getting monthly credits in their portal now. So just be cognizant, and the number of credits you use depend on what you're asking it to do. So it's not just a static number of credits necessarily. But the social post agent for marketers really will automate that social content for you. Your blog research agent accelerates that content creation also. It's going to look across the web. It's going to, understand who your ICP is, what your topics have been. And then also, let's see what else people are talking about in your marketplace. What are your competitors talking about? Who is talking, what are searches showing? That, what are the FAQs that's being asked of the AI agents and things like that. It's going to bring all of that information together to help get you topics that are really going to get you heard.
So if I want to start doing this, when do I start doing this?
Well, yesterday. Now, if you're ready. So, it's really a competitive advantage. From what we're understanding from, the testimonials HubSpot showed at Inbound, it's helped people increase their ROI by 85 to 90%. So this could be a competitive advantage for you. So, getting ahead of the curve is going to be key. So, it's not, the question isn't if marketing is going to evolve to this, it's, are you going to be ahead or behind of the transformation? Because this is kind of where it's going.
I think the big thing, the big point you're making there that's helpful is that this is going to be a competitive advantage in 2026. So as people are starting to budget, this is going to mean more. They are going to have to prep for it, but there should be more successful ROI if you do it.
Mm-hmm.
This has been great. There have been a lot of great questions and a lot of funny comments, especially from Michelle Stinson Ross. So I know that we're going to be doing a different kind of hug groups in the future. And this is your brainchild. What do you got planned for next month? Actually, it's next week, right?
This month. It's
next week.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we're going to do office hours. So we're going to try this and see how it goes. But we're going to do office hours. If it takes off, we might do it every other month or monthly. But we're going to help you troubleshoot what's going on with your portal. So if you would like to, you can register for the October 15th one. It's on the Hug page right now, up and live. And then coming up, we're working on getting 2 more events up in November. We're going to talk about HubSpot assistants, and it's going to kind of be a how-to and how to use them and how to set them up. And then in December, we're going to talk about some of the agents and, things you need to know about those, as well as, how to set them up, how credits are used, things like that as well. So it's kind of going to be a show and tell those 2 months.
Well, that'd be fantastic. And you can
Mhm.
find that by going to busyweb.com/events, or you can get into the the HUG listings
Mhm.
on the HubSpot site.
The
Jessica
November and
asked.
December hugs will be up probably in the next week or two. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen.
Mhm.
Jessica asked a great question. What are your top agent faves right now? I know what mine is. Mine is an agent that if you enter in somebody's LinkedIn profile, it will tell you what their disc profile is. So as you're working on shaping how you're going to talk to them, it'll give you some indication of how they want to be talked to.
Yep. The handoff agent is my favorite because I don't know how many times handing things off between teams causes friction in any organization. I'm thinking all the time. So making sure you get the information, everything from the database to get that out there. But they're all still new and they're all in beta, so we're still continuing to play and learn. But I think those are our two faves.
Jordan asks, will this recording be emailed? Jordan, it'll be available on the YouTube, BusyWeb YouTube page probably later this afternoon. So you can find it there.
Mm-hmm.
So Jessica says, sales to marketing feedback is a good thing. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it's always the classic struggle. So it's agentically getting better, but it's always something to work on and always something to try and make better. So,
yep.
Jen, this was great. That's the end of our show for now. But if you have questions, Jen and I are going to stick around and answer them. Katie Conrath asked, where are you going to learn more about the AI agents and how to use them, aside from just looking in the marketplace? That's a great question, Katie. I think there's a couple of different ways. Is first of all, try and figure out what you want to do and then see if there's an agent there. You can also go to Agent AI to kind of explore the shop as well. And if not, you can find a number of people who are building agents who can help you do that as well.
And I know that HubSpot is working on getting things for the Academy to help with it as well. But the community and knowledge base also are great. And honestly, we're just trying them out to learn them. So
yeah, everybody's trying to get started. But Inbound 25 on Demand has some good information on agents. But really, it depends on what your use case is and what you need and what you can automate to an agent versus what you might shouldn't.
Yep.
Tanya asks, you mentioned needing decent sized traffic to generate optimal analytics. Is there a minimum threshold you recommend?
That's really tough. It's what's key to that is knowing what your traffic typically is. So baselining it for a couple of months. And then from there, making sure that it, is above that at the end of the day. That's really what you're looking for.
I guess how I would answer that question, Tanya, is to say, if you can be proud of what the actual number is, then that's a good sized data set. So what I mean by that is, as I said before, is if you get 10 people on your website and you get 2 more than you did last month, and hey, guess what? We got a 20% increase. Well, no, you got 2 more people. That's not a 20% increase. You got 2 more people. So the smaller the sample, the longer the testing period.
Yep.
So.
And if it's just not ramping up, Michelle's right. We just got to test it a little longer, try to get a little more traffic. And that might mean spending a little money on pay-per-click or on the socials or things like that to try to drive some of that traffic.
And the key is not just to get traffic for traffic's sake. The key is to get traffic that actually is meaningful to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Cindy says, excellent as always, Jen, but completely ignores me as being here as well. But thank you for the compliment, Cindy. Liz says a competitive review is also helpful for baseline user search within a service offering too. That's from Liz, who works here at BusyWeb, and I don't know what that means, which is why I'm happy that Liz works here and is on my team.
Absolutely. Well, with analytics tools like SEMrush and things like that, you can look at traffic for competitive sites as well.
So Cindy says, so sorry, Trigby. You also, as always. Thank you, Cindy.
I'm glad you got
I'm in sales, Cindy. I need positive affirmation on the daily.
All right.
Well,
Well,
it doesn't look like we
everybody,
have more questions, but part of our role here is educational. So if you want to find Jen or me, you can go to the Busy Web page to do that. We're also available through the Twin Cities Hugs and all the different hugs that we're simultaneously doing right now. But we're always excited to be able to get in front of people and help them get a little better when it comes to HubSpot. So
there is a Twin Cities Hug LinkedIn group as well. So
ah,
please smash that like button, like and subscribe.
excellent. You took the words right out of my mouth. So thanks everybody for coming and taking on this little trip with us. And we'll see you at Jen's office hours in 2 weeks.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Then you have to close it because you're the host.